But I am blessed to see each one of you here today. We have, I don't know if it's right to call people visitors. We have some people here that have chosen to come and worship with us that aren't normally here, and that's always welcome. We want that. We desire that here at Capitol View. My dad is not always respectful to me. And sometimes he likes to call me Dr. Phil. You guys remember the Dr. Phil show? I think he was implying that I think I know it all and have all the answers and whatever. But my sermon today is God versus humans. The way God does things versus the way we do things. And the one thing that I always liked when Dr. Phil was giving his advice to troubled people was that he would sometimes get very animated and tell them, it's not about you. It's not about you. And that causes so many problems in our lives, whether we're spiritually or just in our daily lives. What causes us the biggest problems is that we have our eyes turned inward on what bothers me, how I'm being treated, not being able to let go and forgive somebody. The person that damages the most is right here, holding on to a grudge forever. There's three parts to the sermon. The first one is God versus human forgiveness. The second part is God versus human on peace. And the third one is God versus humans on salvation. But Isaiah 55 in my Bible had a heading on it that says how to live an abundant life. So I want to read it to you. Come all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come and buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without cost. Why spend money on that which is not bread, and your labor on what does not satisfy? Listen to me and eat what is good, and you will delight in the richest fare. Give ear and come to me. Listen that you may live. I will make an everlasting covenant with you, my faithful loved promise to David. See, I have made him a witness to the people, a ruler and commander of the people. Surely you will summon nations you will know not, and nations you do know will come running to you because of the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he has endowed you with splendor. Seek the Lord while he may be found. See, that reminds me of another text that says, if you hear God's voice speaking to you, don't delay. I think it says harden your heart. But in my mind, that just means don't wait. Don't wait for tomorrow, because we're like the child that can only play with the toy for just a short period of time before we want the one over here. And he knows that we're easily distracted. Come into a relationship when you feel the tug on your heart. Foster it, value it. Let them turn to the Lord, and he will have mercy on them, and to God, for he will freely pardon. I don't know about you, but that's good news that I don't think I've always heard. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. As the rain and the snow come down from heaven, and do not return to it without watering the earth, and making it bud and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater, so is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty. See, in my last sermon, I was talking about one of our biggest problems as Christians is that we're forgetting to lift Christ up. We're lifting him up in ways that don't work with the don'ts. I'm a Seventh-day Adventists. I don't do this. I don't do that. The time for that is over. The time for that is, we don't have time for that petty type of stuff. It is time for us to throw the doors open and say, if you're drinking, you're welcome here. If you're smoking, you're welcome here. If you're having problems with whatever, you're welcome here. It doesn't matter. This is your safe haven. This is where you find refreshing. This is where you can come with your problems and not be afraid that we're going to beat you down like we've done in the past, because that's unacceptable. We're talking about false teaching in Sabbath school. That is false teaching. That's not the teaching that Christ had in the Bible when he went to the woman that the leaders of the church of that day were trying to shame, threw her down in front of him and asked, what is your judgment on this woman? What is your judgment? And he knelt down in the sand and wrote their sins in the sand to blow away. But it got him out of there so that he could speak to her and let her know, I don't accuse you either. It's like the criminal on the cross. Sometimes we talk about these steps that we have to make. But I find great comfort in the criminal on the cross, that when he felt the call, even at life's end, he felt the call and he says, I want to be there. I want to be in heaven with you. My life has been a mess, but I want to be there. The Jesus we serve says, you'll be there. No problem. That's the difference between God and us. We do have a problem with that. No, you got to get your ducks in a row first. I thought you'd quit smoking. Why are you smoking again? Because smoking is hard to quit. That's why. I used to smoke. I used to drink. I used to drive truck, which is the worst sin of all. But it doesn't matter where you're at in your life or what you're doing. What our call is to lift up the good news of the gospel and to lift up the true Jesus, not your Jesus, the true Jesus. Ephesians 4:26 says, don't let the sun go down. Don't let the sun set on your anger. If you're angry with someone, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to bed where I'm still upset with Shannon. I'm still upset with somebody at the school. I'm still upset with someone at the church. Whatever, at work. You get the picture. God tells us that's not healthy. That is not healthy. That'll hurt you. Don't let the sun set without finding a way to let go of that anger, to let go of that grudge. How many of you know someone or have been the person that have held on to a grudge for your entire life? Someone hurt you back in school and you can instantly bring that to memory and tell you exactly what they did, how they wronged you, why you're upset about it, and you're like, we haven't been in high school for 30 years. What are you talking about? Don't let the sun set without finding a way to release your anger. That leads us into peace. Those type of actions, that kind of behavior is what steals our peace from us. The only true peace we can have is to have a personal relationship with Christ. A personal relationship with Christ leads us to read His Word. And I can still remember when I started reading the Bible for myself as an adult, when it started to sink in, when it started to become valuable, that, man, this is awesome. The stories are cool. When I was in the Crisis Center last year, quit talking about the Crisis Center. I get sick of hearing about that. I gave a Bible to a young man that was there with me, and we had this track that there's a path worn in the carpet, and he would walk around this track, and he had a Bible. What are those Bibles that you find in the hotels and stuff? I can't remember what they're called. The Gideon's Bible. And those are always in the King James Version, and thee and thou. And he was telling me, he says, my dad told me that if I ever get in trouble, get a Bible and start reading it. So he had told me, I've been reading this Bible from the beginning. And he goes, it's really difficult. He goes, I'm in Chronicles now. And I was like, yeah, that's difficult. And I said, can I suggest to you that your dad's heart was in the right place, but move up into the New Testament? And this guy, it's the craziest, weirdest experience of my life, because this guy started to be the witness in the Crisis Center. He started reading this New International Version that I gave him as he's walking around the room. He's circling around the room, and he's reading this, and he kept on stopping and using profanity. Can you believe this? Look at this story. He goes, I love this story right here. I said, what is it? He goes, there's this leper. And he goes, the Bible is leading me to believe that he was untouchable. He was untouchable. And he says, if you're willing, you can make me clean. But he goes, it's jumping off the page that he touched him. And I said, yeah, that's cool. I said, that is cool that Jesus' response is, I am willing. No matter who you are, sometimes someone in this room might make you feel like you're unworthy to be here. And that's undesirable. Why would you want to come to a place that makes you feel that way? But Jesus' response to that is, I am willing. I am willing to make you clean. I am willing to have a relationship with you. I am willing to heal you. I am willing to take you as you are. Not what you are going to be in 10 years. I'm willing to take you right now. By the way, it's good to see you guys, Scott and Marguerite. I don't know about you, but that is why God is exciting. God wasn't exciting for me when I was younger because I didn't understand it that way. But that is the truth. That is the gospel truth. We were at the Niobrara last weekend, and I don't know how many miles that is. It's like 20 miles of canoeing down the river, and it's awesome if you've never been there. It is absolutely awesome. There's people on tubes coming down and doing their thing, and kayaking and canoeing, and the girls were doing their thing with friends and boyfriends, and Shannon and I and Wyatt were minding our own business in our canoe. And everything we'd stopped and looked at a couple waterfalls that are along the way. There's the tallest waterfall in Nebraska on the Niobrara River. And there's just a lot of neat things to look at. We saw a river otter running along the bank and a bald eagle, and we saw 50 vultures. They would circle around and land in the trees across from our campsite every night, and it was weird. They would circle almost like they saw something dead, but come down one by one and start roosting for the night. Great experience. But as we got to the bottom of the river where we were going to exit off, we come around a bend there, and I said, we need to start moving left so that we can get off the river because things are kind of moving fast. And and as we come around, I had forgot, I've been up there several times, that there's a dead tree in the water over there, so you can't go left as soon as we did. And we come around, and I mean, man, I knew we were going to hit that thing, and I knew we were going to hit it hard. And so I'm scrambling to get us pushed right, but it's not working because the current's picked up. And I see that Wyatt is going to take the brunt of the hit. And this just happened in a flash, in a moment, that it seems like when I'm thinking about it that it took much longer than this, but it was just a moment. Shannon went out of the canoe first, and I reached up and I pushed away, thinking I could push away from that. It's one of those moments of where you have an unrealistic expectation of the force of about what's about to happen. So I pushed away, and that push hit so hard that it made Wyatt fly down into the bottom of the canoe and basically go down under the seat of where Shannon had been. And then I hit that tree hard. It rung my bell and took me out over back of the canoe. And I've got this massive blotch on my inner leg here, which is really sore. And the thing that reminded me of later at our prayer meeting on Wednesday night is that is the peace that we can experience. That I was doing that for my little boy without thought for myself, and it hurt really, really bad. He was holding on. He was down in the bottom of the canoe holding on. I'm scared, as we're walking him down, trying to get out. That we have a Father in heaven that did the same thing. We were heading for a situation that was life-ending for us, and he jumped out of the boat and took the brunt. He took the hit for us. Don't you see the peace and security that's involved? In what God is doing for us. Without thought for himself, without thought for his own safety, he jumped out of the boat and took the hit for us on the cross. It had nothing to do with the fact that we were canoeing on the Sabbath. We're supposed to do things like that. We're supposed to get out and have a day of rest with our family. The one that tries to hurt us for breaking the Sabbath is never God. It's always Satan. Always. Because he knows that that's the way he gives God a black eye, is by causing something bad to happen on the Sabbath. This is what Isaiah 58:13-14 says. This is my promise. I have given you a gift, a Sabbath to rest from your daily grind. If you take me up on my gift, put aside your daily ambition and grind and whatever that's things for self. And you call my Sabbath a delight, which I had to learn how to do. I had to come to a certain point to figure out what that meant and to find the beauty in it, that it's true. I made it for you. Honor it by lifting it up in your life. Find peace in spending time with me. I will make you feel like king of the world, filled with unspeakable peace, joy, and happiness. I am your God and Creator, and I've spoken. I put that into my own words to try to convey and help myself to understand it more clearly, that God is commanding us to step back from the stress in our life. Step back, take a break. I'm your God and I'm your Creator. I'm telling you, do this. We hurt those around us and those that we love and strangers in the name of God. We take things in our lives that shouldn't be there and justify them in the name of the Word of God. Man, that's dangerous stuff right there. Only thing you can do to justify the Word of God is to be the person that's inspiring those around you, to be the person that's uplifting the people that you come in contact with, to be the person that realizes you are flawed too, and pass that mercy on to every single person that you make contact with. After the flood, after time had passed and the earth started to repopulate, and yes, I'm moving into part 3, God versus humans on salvation. God gave Noah a promise. I'm going to put my bow in the sky, rainbow. How many of you have been driving down the road while it's raining after a rain and you see the rainbow? That's there because of the flood and because of the promise that God gave that he would never destroy the entire world in that way again. And yet, just very shortly, who knows how long, enough time for the population to start building up, the people had been told in great detail about the flood, why it happened, and they decided they would, God promised us that he wouldn't destroy the world in that way again, but just in case he changes his mind, let's build a tower. Let's build the Tower of Babel. So they started building this tower, and I started doing some research on how tall that tower was. And it's interesting. This is the tallest building in the world. This is the Dubai Tower. It's got another name, which I can't pronounce, but they call it the Dubai Tower, so that's what I'm going to call it. This is the skyline of the Dubai Tower. That's pretty amazing right there. If you consider that all of the buildings around there are skyscrapers. This building right here is a little bit taller than our Capitol building. Just a hair taller than our Capitol building. And it's just dwarfed by the Dubai Tower. This is a view from, this isn't even the top. This is as far up in it as you can go with the observation deck. And you can see that when you're up there, you're up high enough that you can start to see the curvature of the earth. The picture over to the side here is a picture of the Dubai Tower sitting next to the Empire State Building, which at some point in history was the tallest building we had. It's got 163 floors. The rooftop level is 2,717 feet. The pinnacle is 2,722 feet. Our new World Trade Center, in comparison, is 1,776 feet, which they did purposely for the signing of the independence. But here we have these towers that symbolize our greatness and our ability, especially the Freedom Tower, to protect ourselves no matter what happens. The Tower of Babel was 4 times taller than this building. 4 times taller. It was a hair over 10,000 feet tall, if my calculations are correct, from the information I found. 10,000 feet tall. And they built it in the name of self-preservation. That's big in our human minds. We don't have the technology now to... They struggled to build this tower, to make it stand. And these people, after the flood, built a tower that was 4 times that height. What's my point? my point is this. Here's God's idea of big. Right now, currently, depending on who you talk to, there's 7.1 billion people on our planet. Some people say there's 7.5 billion because we don't do the census all the time. 7.5 billion people. Recently, a German supercomputer did the calculations of galaxies, not planets, galaxies. And it estimated that there was 5 billion galaxies. 5 billion galaxies. Now, do a little division and divide that by the number of people living on Earth. And it tells you that there's about 71 galaxies per person on Earth. 71 galaxies. John 14, 1 through 4 says this. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again to receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I go, you will go. What is the way? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Our idea of big is a 10,000-foot building. God's idea of big is 500 billion galaxies. 71 galaxies per person. I would say that he created a place for us. So how do we get there? It's pretty simple. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And I'm going to put this in my own words because I believe this is what it means. Verse 17 says, for God did not send his Son into the world to destroy it, but to save it. That's it.